Good morning, everyone. How are you all doing? I hope you're enjoying the summit so far. And I'm looking forward to answering your questions. So oh, there we go. Tiffany. Good morning, Tiffany. What are my top 3 Catherine Pooler ink colors? I have certainly Flirty Fuchsia is one of my favorites, Tiki Torch, and those two I think mostly because I don't see those same colors in other ink lines. And also, if you mix the two of them, they make the most beautiful, beautiful cherry red. And probably Lime Ricky. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. I'm definitely a party girl when it comes to my Catherine Pooler inks. If you don't know, Catherine Pooler's inks come in 2 lines, the party line and the spa line. The party line is very saturated, very bright and happy colors. And the spa line is a little more muted and calming and a little less saturated. And I have some favorites in that line as well, but definitely Flirty Fuchsia, Tiki Torch are my top 2. Great question. Jane, I need an easy tip on how to not create mud. I enjoy my gel press, but I have a bad habit of creating many brownish prints. Okay. There's a lot to unpack there. That's a great question. First of all, I'm not sure if you're using inks or paints, but I find that the paints, they don't tend to blend and create mud in the same way as the inks do. And last week or a few weeks ago, I did a video about using my gel plate to ink blend and to create much smoother blended results than actually using an ink or a blending brush. But I did get some muddiness, and I was thinking about ways to not get so much muddiness. And in my video that's coming out on Sunday, I have a way, but I can tell you now. Basically what I do is I put down the colors separately. So instead of trying to put all 3 colors on my gel plate at the same time, I put down the first color on the top and I put my paper down and I pull that print. And when I'm working with inks, I find I have to do that a few times. So I have to, have lots of layers to get the saturation that I really want. So I do the top color, then I do the bottom color separately. And so then I have a piece of paper that has, let's say yellow at the top and purple in the bottom. And then finally I do the pink in the middle. And when I'm brayering, I'm kind of moving my brayer up and down just a little bit so that I'm getting not harsh edges on the lines. And by doing a layer after layer after layer, and my paper's not always in the exact same spot, I end up getting a really, really smooth blend. So watch for that on my YouTube channel on Sunday. You'll see that in action. And you'll see what I mean if you didn't understand that. Another question, what brand of paintbrushes do I use? Another good question. And the answer is I don't paint really as my main, like Laurel does watercoloring, so she probably has really good watercolor brushes. I don't. So when I'm using a paintbrush, my go-tos, I've got the Nuvo nylon brushes. I've got the old Tim Holtz. I don't think they're nylon. I'm not sure what they are. And then I also have some, I've got one right here. So when I'm splattering, I use this, I have this set of Ardyth water brushes. So the water's right in, and I can just keep that right in with my watercolors. So whenever I need to add gold splatter to something, I've got the water, I've got the brush right there. I just pick it all up and I'm able to add the splatter that I want. Tiffany, what is my favorite size of gel plate to work with? I started with a 5x7 gel plate, and I really do like that size. It is slightly smaller than a half sheet of paper. So when I put my half sheet down, there's paper around the edge that I can pull up easily, like I can grab and pull off the print very easily. So I do like that. And I can get one good, like full size card front out of that, or I can get 2 smaller panels out of that. And so I do enjoy that size. I have been thinking about, in fact, I just bought a 9x12 gel plate with the thinking that I could then print a whole 8.5x11 sheet right to the edges and get 4 card panels out of it. So similar to what I did in my presentation, where I used my glass mat instead of a gel plate, but I got the whole piece of A4 letter size cardstock covered in the colors. And then I was able to make 4 cards out of that. So it just depends on what I'm working on at the time. Becky says, does the regular cardstock need to be 100 pounds or could you use 60? I think this is personal preference. Another great question. I think that if I like a very sturdy card base, so I use 110-pound cardstock for my card bases. I use the Hammermill 100 for my card panels. I haven't seen or tried Hammermill in the 60-pound, but I wouldn't be averse to trying it. I think that 60 might be a bit light, but if there was an 80, I wouldn't mind trying it. The index paper that I use is quite thin. That's what I use on my my gel print, not in this video, but often when I'm gel printing, I use index paper, which is a little bit thicker than printer paper, but it's not really cardstock. It might be like, I don't know, maybe like the equivalent of a 40-pound or something. And it has great properties. I'm planning on doing a video about why I use that paper so much. It does have some really great qualities, but it is thin, so you have to use it judiciously. Okay, so so there was a link there for the schedule. I think there's still some people having trouble finding the lives after our tech issues this morning, but hopefully they'll be able to watch them later. Jane, what is the advantage of using a gel plate versus a glass mat? That's a great question. I'm not sure. Let me think about that for a sec. I think it would depend on the medium you're using. I think it would depend on the look you're going for. So let's talk about my presentation where I used the glass mat. And honestly, I was planning on using a gel plate, but then I was going to have more than 5 products. So I used my glass mat instead. So what I found with the glass mat, it's really more like ink smooshing than actually printing from a gel plate. And what I would say is that if I put my watercolor powders onto a gel plate and then spritz them with the water, they wouldn't move quite as freely as they did on the glass mat. So you might get just a different look. But I think the whole point of that kind of ink smooshing and making that kind of background, whether you use the glass mat, whether you use the gel plate, is that you want the colors to move, and you're not in control of how they look. So you're still going to get a beautiful result, whichever surface you use. Carolyn asks, how do you store all the paper pieces after you cut them out from the pattern paper that you made? Okay. I'm not sure if she's asking how I store them while I'm making the card or the leftovers. My leftover, I think it's probably the leftovers. And it depends on the size. I don't keep every little scrap. I try to keep anything that is a card front or bigger. And I just have a box over here. And let me see if I can, there, you can see it down there in the corner. You can see little colored pieces sticking out. So I just keep anything that's card front size or bigger there. And I would only keep smaller scraps if I really, 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 really love them and I had a plan to use them in the next few days. I know myself, I love to create, and I almost never go back and reuse unless I'm doing a project that requires something like pattern paper. That's a great question. Can you add mica powder to brushes to get a similar effect that you did with the magical powders? That is something I don't know. It sounds like it should work. I'm not sure. I'm wondering if the mica powders would stick once the brushes had dried. So that would be my only kind of concern. I'm not sure if there's any kind of like they almost need to dissolve into the water and the brushes to be able to stick to the paper. Otherwise, I'm worried that once the paper is dry, you'd be able to kind of brush it off. So what I would suggest is any kind of question like that, if you've got those things, give it a try. Just do like a little swatch and see what the results are. Somebody asked me the other day, they had used some kind of different powders than I used, and they were finding that the shimmer was coming off on their hand. And so they're asking me about a sealer. I've never used a sealer. I think there are sealers out there. I think there's like spray things that you can get. And certainly with the magicals, this is my first time using the magicals for a video. And the shimmer does not come off on my hands when I rub over it. I also think if it does come off a little bit, it's one thing if you rub your hand and it comes off, I don't worry too much about that because I think most people don't rub their hands off on a card. If it's something like glitter or mica where it's literally just going to fall off when somebody opens the envelope, that would be a time that I would be considering using a sealer because people might not like that when they open their card. Oh, I see hairspray is also a good sealer. Okay, that's a good thing to try as well. Hillary asks, what is your favorite black ink that can be used with watercolor and alcohol inks? Okay, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I've ever stamped on an alcohol ink panel. I think that would be a good question for Tiffany. But I'm suspecting that if you have your alcohol inks on Yupo, you would need to stamp with something like StazOn, a solvent ink that would be able to dry on the Yupo. With watercolor, I tend to use Versamark ink. My favorite black ink right now is actually from Maker Forte, and it's called Eclipse Black, but I don't think it's available right now. But I love it because I can blend with it. It's on a foam pad, so it's very similar to Catherine Pooler inks. I can blend with it. I can stamp with it and get very dark stamping, and it comes off my stamps easily. Catherine Pooler's black ink, I don't know if you know, but it stains your stamps. So if that's something you don't like, then that black ink may not be for you. But I found that this one, I really liked it, but of course it seems to have been discontinued. So I may be on the hunt for a new black ink at some time soon. Joan says, what is your most productive time, such as long sessions, short hour sessions, every other day, weekends, mornings, etc.? That's an interesting question. I go for my walk in the morning, I have breakfast, and I tend to do my kind of householdy things in the morning. And kind of just mess around until lunchtime. My best time to work is generally in the afternoon until dinner time. And then sometimes I get an hour or two in the evening as well. It depends how much I've got to get done. Some days I don't craft at all. Some days I'm just planning things ahead. But most days I'm up here for at least a good couple of hours doing something. Okay, any more questions? Sean says, I have some of those water-filled brushes. How do you go about doing the splatter with them? I did not understand what you said a few seconds ago. Okay, well, as luck would have it, I have my watercolors right here with my brush. So what I do, I fill the pen with water. I squeeze it. I'm not going to actually do it. I squeeze lots and lots of water into the pan, and then my brush gets, let me see if I can get it up there. It gets very filled with the watercolor, and it's quite runny, right? If you're splattering, you need it to be quite runny. And then I just take it over my project and I tap it like this. And if I need to tap harder, I use my other hand and I tap it like that, and that gets the splatter. Okay, so if I haven't fully answered your question, let me know and we can talk about it some more. What are you working on at the moment? Anything exciting coming up? Actually, I have something very exciting coming on Sunday. There is a very, very special event coming on Sunday. I'm so excited and I can't tell you about it because it's a surprise. So yeah, it's a Christmas card event, but I can't tell you much more than that. So definitely drop by on, well, I know you'll be here at the summit on Sunday morning, but when you're finished at the summit, I'll have a new video on my channel. I've got some other things coming up. I'm working on my stuff for the next Card Maker Success Summit. I'm working with Brandy to come up with some new ideas for other things there. So lots of things. What are my favorite color combos? That's a great question. I think I said earlier, I love the bright colors of the Catherine Pooler Party inks. I like to use a full rainbow often because I can't always choose my favorite colors, but I definitely love to blend yellow, orange, and pink together. I love to blend different shades of blue together. I also like to add Flirty Fuchsia to my yellow, orange, pink, and Flirty Fuchsia. That four combination, I love that. Question, can you please show us what a gel plate looks like? Yes, I can. Okay, I'm going to bring you this one that's stained because it'll be more visible. So a gel plate comes in a clamshell, and you just open it up. Now this gel plate is stained because I've used it with alcohol inks. So if you don't, they come perfectly clear. So if you don't want it stained, then I wouldn't use alcohol inks with it. So it's just kind of rubbery. It's made with mineral oil, is my understanding. It's very flexible, and you want to do your best to keep your surface super, I was going to say clean, but I don't mean clean. I mean, and I don't mean flat, but I mean, you don't want things, pieces of debris or something that can leave an impression in it, because when you're printing from a gel plate, you want to be able to get full coverage without little marks from your plate. I hope that is easy to understand. So then you just, you put your medium on it, and whether that's acrylic paint or ink pad or watercolor powder, you put your paper on it and the paper will kind of stick, and then you pull your paper back and you will have a beautiful, beautiful background. Tiffany has a question. How do you get out of a creative rut? It depends. I have a number of things that I do. I have a video on my channel of 10 ways to get out of, or 10 things to do when you're in a creative rut. One of the things I like to do is take a break sometimes. But if I take too long of a break, then I can kind of just prolong the rut, if you know what I mean. So sometimes what I need to do is just come up to my craft room here. Maybe I'm organizing things, or maybe I just, trying something that I don't feel I'm ready to make a video about yet. I watch other people's videos. I watch Tiffany's videos. She always inspires me with her, the ways she uses her different mediums and the way she layers them up to get those really deep, beautiful backgrounds that she makes. I also just, I look around and see what other people are doing. Often that sparks some creativity as well. Yeah, there's lots of things to do. If I'm really, really stuck, I make an effort to just go around and comment on other people's good work. And that makes me at least feel like I'm staying in the community. I'm adding some positivity to the community, and I'm seeing good work that is out there. Natalie says, do you think a new card maker should concentrate on mastering one technique or try lots of different techniques so they can discover what style they like? That's a great question. And I think probably the answer depends on your personality. But I think from the point of view of the cost, I mean, if you have the ability, if you have a friend who has all the things and you can try out all the things, then I would definitely try that. But if you are doing it on your own and you're trying to decide what to buy and everything you try is going to cost you money, what I would do is look around and see what techniques or what looks really appeal to you the most. And I would focus on those techniques first and then build from there. So I hope that's helpful. What's the best way to clean your gel plate? I don't always clean my gel plate, and especially when you use acrylic paint, well, actually, when you use the inks as well, the act of pulling the paper off your gel plate, if you've done it properly, will pull up almost all of the medium that's on the gel plate. If there's stuff left behind and you want to get it off, I just use a baby wipe. And sometimes the acrylic paint hardens on the edges, and you can literally just peel it off. I hope that's helpful. Okay, let's see. You can also make your own gel plate with gelatin. I've seen that. I've never investigated it. I've heard that that's a possibility. For me, the cost of the gel plate isn't that much that I would want to try making it myself. Although I do like to bake, so maybe one of these days I will challenge myself to make a gel plate. Okay, where can we find me? Oh, okay. Oh gosh, that went quickly. Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Ardyth PR1, so ARDYTH PR1. You can find me on YouTube at just Ardyth, ARDYTH, and my blog is ardythprblogspot.blogspot.com. So I hope to see you around. And okay, there's some instructions for, yes, please refresh the schedule page so that you're getting the correct links to the live streams. And we'll look forward to seeing you. And yeah, I'm really looking forward. Please tag me on Instagram, in the Facebook group. If you're making your version of my cards from the summit, please tag me because I'd love to see them and see how you're doing with the technique. Okay, thanks so much for coming, everybody. Bye.